Hey everyone and welcome to this video. My name is Christian from the Premiere, and today we're breaking down Squid Game Season 2
선물은 하나, 빵과 복권.
and exploring into the shocking reveals about two major characters, the mysterious salesman and the frontman. And let me tell you, the way they opened this season was absolutely mind-blowing. That scene with the salesman playing Russian roulette. But before we get into that, we need to explain these two fascinating characters' backstories that completely change how we view the game. Welcome and let's begin. So remember our mysterious recruiter from Season 1? The guy in the suit playing those deadly games, Dakji. Well, it turns out he's been part of the Squid Game since he was a kid. That's why he's so eerily good at what he does. He literally grew up in this twisted system. So get this, he actually started as one of the guards, doing the absolute worst job, burning the bodies of the dead contestants. I mean, talk about a dark beginning. But here's where it gets even more intense. After proving his loyalty, they gave him a gun, which he describes as finally being seen. Think about that for a second. This guy found his sense of worth through becoming an executioner. The real shocker comes when we learn about his promotion to a recruiter in 2020. You think that would be the most twisted part of his story, but no. Here's something even darker. During his time as a guard, he had to shoot his own father, who was a contestant in the games. And here's the really important part. He didn't even hesitate. Like he says, he knew he was the man for the job. So this revelation completely reframes those games from Season 1. Every time he approached someone desperate, he was not just doing his job, he was acting out his twisted philosophy about cleaning up what he sees as society's trash. It's honestly disturbing how deep his dedication to the games run, which is why it's so important to break one of the most chilling aspects of the salesman's story, his twisted social experiment with the bread and the lottery tickets. This really shows just how deep his disregard for humanity goes. So check this out. Before the salesman would recruit people for the games, he'd do this really messed up test. He approach homeless people and give them a choice. They could either have bread to eat right away, or they could get a lottery ticket with the chance of winning big or nothing at all. Now here is where it gets super dark. The salesman reveals the most people would actually choose the lottery ticket over the bread. Think about that. Even when they're starving, they rather gamble on the chance of winning than take care of their immediate needs. And that is exactly what the salesman was looking for. In his twisted mind, this proved his whole philosophy about humanity. He saw it as evidence that desperate people deserve their fate because they rather leave everything up to chance than make the responsible choice. But here is the really brilliant part of this reveal. It perfectly mirrors the whole concept of the Squid Games themselves. People choosing to risk their lives for the chance at a massive prize instead of trying to work their way out of debt. This is why episode 1 is literally called the bread or lottery. It's showing us how the salesman developed this cruel worldview that made him the perfect recruiter for the games. And what makes this backstory so brilliant is how he set up his final confrontation with Song. When they played that game of Russian roulette, we now understand why he's so fearless. He's literally given his entire life to this organization. He believes in it so much and completely that he's willing to die for. Now another character backstory, and that is the frontman. Let's talk about what makes the frontman tick. You know, some villains are just evil for the sake of being evil. Well, that's not our guy. The frontman is all about, wait for it, equality. I know, pretty ironic for someone running deadly games. But check this out. There's this incredible quote where he says, everyone is equal in these games. Players get to compete in a fair game under the same conditions. Before he became the intimidating man in black that we know today, he was actually a police officer, just like his brother. But here's where things get really heartbreaking. His descent into the game started when a desperate attempt to save his wife. See, his wife was dying from a disease and needed a liver transplant, but that's not even the most gut-wrenching part. She was pregnant when she died. I mean, just let that sink in for a moment. We finally understand what drove this man to such extremes. He borrowed massive amounts of money trying to save her. Now, this is where his story takes the dark turn. we come to expect from Squid Game. In 2015, he entered the 28 Squid Games as player 132, and he won. But unlike Song, he didn't try to escape this dark world. Instead, he caught the attention of Ilnam, who was looking for someone to take over the games, really like Saw. But here's the really fascinating part, and something I think a lot of viewers might miss. He cannot even sell his own kidney to save his wife because he already donated to his brother. Talk about a tragic irony. This explains so much about the complex relationships between these two brothers. Now in season 2, we see him and taking his manipulation to a whole new level by entering the games as player 001. It's such a brilliant parallel to Ilnam's deception in season 1, but with an even more sinister twist since we actually know who he is this time. This incredible thing about his backstory is how he set up this perfect mirror to Song. Both men won the games, but they chose completely opposite paths afterward. It makes you really think, what makes someone choose darkness over light? But this is what makes this so brilliant. It's actually a mirror to season 1 twist with Ilnam introduce himself as Oh Young Il. Obviously a callback to Ilnam. Just like Ilnam did with Song, he befriends our protagonist. But this is where it gets even more interesting. Again, we know who he is. But the fascinating part is that the frontman is not just playing games. He's trying to prove a point about human nature. Remember that incredible scene where they're voting to whether continue the games? When he breaks the tie by voting to continue, he gives this absolutely chilling explanation about democracy and morality. This is why his brother and his mother blamed themselves for what happened to him. They were struggling financially themselves and could not help him when he needed the most. Their mom especially carries this guilt, feeling responsible for not being able to help after he sacrificed so much. Now, I wanted to do a quick video on their story, on the frontman and the salesman, but this is not the only story that we follow this season. We actually see the guard 011, and her story is also heartbreaking. What is the reason why a man or a woman are gonna be a guard? And her story showed this. She's a guard that refused to participate in the other guard's organ scheme, and she gives mercy to players. And the reason? Because she's looking for her daughter. So that's the reason why I'm so excited and hyped for Squid Game Season 3 coming next year. After that mind-blowing season 2 ending, the stage is perfectly set for an explosive ending to this incredible story. So what theories do you have for season 3? Would Song finally bring down the games? But after knowing that Squid Game America is happening, I don't think so. But that's the video for today. My name is Christian from Frontman Premiere, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everyone.